What's going on, you guys? It's Anna. Welcome back to the channel. Today, in honor of Islam Makhachev fighting Charles Oliveira at the next pay-per-view, we're going to see how he fares in the welterweight division. Can he become the welterweight champion? I'm not going to talk about everybody in the welterweight division, but I'm going to talk about some of the guys in that division, specifically the top 7 guys in the welterweight division. Because if I talk about everybody in the top like 15, it's going to be a really long video. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So at number 7 is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Islam versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. How does that fight go? It is really tough. This is actually a really tough matchup for Islam. Reason being is because Wonderboy, even at his, he's over the age of 40, is still one of the best strikers in all of the UFC. And it's going to be really tough for Islam to close the distance, being that Wonderboy is a little taller than him. And it's going to be really tough for him to really close that distance and get a takedown. But I do believe, especially right now with a prime Islam Makhachev, I think he gets the job done. And I think he submits Wonderboy in the early rounds. I think if this was a 5-round fight, I think Wonderboy gets submitted probably in the first or second round. I think, in my opinion, I think the grappling of Islam Makhachev is fantastic. And I think he actually fares well in this division overall, which we'll get into the other guys in a moment. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough at first because he's going to have to gauge that range. And the striking of a Wonderboy is going to be very tough for Islam Makhachev to deal with. But I do believe he gets the win, and I think he gets a submission victory in the first 2 rounds. At number 6 is Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now here, I am not confident in Islam Makhachev getting a victory. I think Shavkat, this is the worst matchup, in my opinion, for Islam Makhachev. I think, right now, I want to say that Shavkat beats Islam Makhachev. I know, that is absolutely insane because Shavkat just had a war with Jeff Neal, and Jeff Neal, to me, is not nearly as good as, in my opinion, Islam Makhachev. But here's the deal. I mean, 5-round fight, we will have to see Shavkat. There's definitely an opportunity for Islam Makhachev to win because he has that 5-round experience. He went full 5 rounds with Alexander Volkanovski. But man, listen, the striking of Shavkat is absolutely spectacular. Even though I do believe that Islam is actually a really good striker, and he's a lot better than Khabib ever was, and when it comes to striking, I do believe that he's going to struggle with Shavkat. Shavkat has a lot of power, and we've seen Islam Makhachev get dropped before. Not only against Volkanovski, but he did get knocked out years ago, and that was his only loss that he suffered in the UFC. It's a really, really tough fight, but I think by a split decision or unanimous 48-47, I think Shavkat gets the job done. And I think if this was to go... And by the way, I'm putting in the scenario that all these fights are 5-round fights. I think Islam beats Shavkat. That is a big-time fight, by the way. I would love to see this fight. If it ever happens, if he ever decides to go up in weight, and let's say he beats Charles and he just to become the double champion, and let's say he beats Leon Edwards, right? Hypothetically, I would love to see that fight happen. Shavkat versus Islam, that's very intriguing to me. So yeah, I might go Shavkat though. But I can definitely see Islam win that fight too. At number 5 is Gilbert Burns. I think right now Islam beats Gilbert Burns. That is a very tough fight too because Gilbert Burns is a very, very tough fight. But here's the deal, man. Gilbert Burns has fought at lightweight before. So don't make it seem like this fight cannot even possibly happen. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that Gilbert Burns is ever going to go away from welterweight, but, he's not a really big guy in comparison to the other guys in the welterweight division. I think that he doesn't struggle with Gilbert Burns all that much. I think he outgrapples Gilbert Burns. In my opinion, I think he does. I might be underrating Gilbert Burns right now, but I really do believe right now Islam Makhachev, who is one of the best fighters on the planet, probably could... You could make an argument if he does beat Charles Oliveira, he could be number 2 pound for pound or even number 1. Even though John Jones, I don't think they're ever going to move John Jones for number 1. I do believe he beats Gilbert Burns currently. I think he gets a unanimous decision victory. I think it's a 49-46. Kind of similar how, Belal Muhammad, which we'll get to in a moment, pretty much did. You know what I mean? He 49-46 Gilbert Burns. It wasn't even a close fight whatsoever. But I think he does the same thing. And I think he just dominates him. I think that the striking, he pretty much does pretty well in the striking department against him, and I think he's able to grapple him and take him down and just pretty much lay on him, have some ground and pound moments, try and go for some submissions, and I think he just win that fight. And yeah, I mean, listen, all these fights are very difficult fights, by the way, all of them. There's definitely instances where I can see him lose these fights versus one in the lightweight division. I think he beats a guy like a Dustin Poirier. I think he beats a Justin Gaethje more confidently than anybody in the welterweight division. I mean, this is a lot bigger division. We're going up in weight 15 pounds to 170. So this is not easy whatsoever for Islam Makhachev. But he stated that he wants to go up and become the double champ. So we're going to have to look into these type of matchups because there's a possibility that he could be fighting these guys. But I do believe that he beats Gilbert Burns, and I think he wins by unanimous decision. I'm going to skip Khamzat. I don't think he will ever fight Khamzat Chimaev. Hypothetically, if this fight ever happens, I do believe Khamzat wins, though. I think Khamzat is way too big, for Islam Makhachev. I think that the size disadvantage for Islam is going to be a big problem. I think that I can see Khamzat Chimaev catch him with something, and if it goes in the grappling department, I think Khamzat Chimaev gets the upper hand just because of his size and his power. Pause again if needed. But I mean, if that fight ever happens, that's a big time fight. That is one of the biggest fights that you can possibly make. But I don't think Khamzat is going to go down the weight to 170 anymore. I think he's going to stay at 185 and become the middleweight, or try to become the middleweight champion. So I don't think he's ever really going to go back to welterweight. Unless he loses, I guess, in the middleweight division. I don't know. But I don't think that fight ever happens. But if it does, I got Khamzat winning that fight. Belal Muhammad is number 3. So we're going to go Belal Muhammad versus Islam Makhachev. Very, very difficult fight too. But I think Islam gets the job done too. I think Islam, I could see a finish from Islam. Very difficult fight though. Very underrated. Listen, Belal Muhammad, I shit on Belal Muhammad all the time. In my last video, I literally said that he's one of the most boring fighters in all of the sport. I mean, one of the most boring fighters of all time. But this is a very tough matchup for Islam because the grappling of Belal is actually pretty good. Very, very good. Very underrated. But I still believe that the skills of probably arguably the best grappler in all of the UFC is just too much for Belal Muhammad, and I think he's going to be dominated. I think I could see a late 4th round submission, or I could see, or like a finish possibly. But I think he's going to go unanimous decision. I think he's going to win like 4 rounds to 1, 3 rounds to 2, 48-47. And I think actually 49-46 is what I'm leaning towards too. And I think he beats Belal Muhammad by unanimous decision. But I wouldn't be surprised for a finish though. Because one thing about Islam Makhachev is that his submission game is absolutely top tier. He is a great grappler, one of the best grapplers in all of the UFC. And I think he beats Belal Muhammad by unanimous decision though. Number 2, Colby Covington. This is a tough fight, but I have Islam Makhachev winning this fight. The fact that Colby is not getting any younger, I'm not saying that Colby is like that old. I mean, he's 35, but we're talking about a prime Islam Makhachev. And listen, Colby Covington ain't that tall. I think Colby Covington right now, I think he's 5'10", right? I don't know how tall. I think they're about the same height. So there really isn't any advantage for Colby Covington. They're going to be at the same weight. Colby Covington doesn't really cut that much weight. He doesn't even add that much weight to himself, you know. At 170, he's usually probably like at around 180 pounds, you know, on probably when he's not fighting. I think Islam Makhachev beats him, and I think he beats him by I think this is a unanimous decision. I don't think that he's gonna get a finish unless he probably catches him with something, because Colby Covington is a little chinny. We've seen it against Jorge Masvidal where he got caught in the 4th round. We've seen that obviously against kamaru Usman. And underrated power Islam Makhachev has. I don't know why I talk like Yoda there, but he does have a lot of power, a very underrated power from Islam Makhachev. And I definitely can see him catch him with something. But I don't know. I don't see a finish, though. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision victory. I think that he is going to win this fight, though. I do believe that right now, Islam Makhachev beats Colby Covington. I honestly, I truly see it. So I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev. At the number 1 position, Kamaru Usman. Yeah, listen, here's the issue with Kamaru Usman, right? He's not getting any younger as well. It's kind of like the same situation with Colby, but to me, it just feels like Kamaru Usman is like, I don't know. Last fight, even though he didn't look awful. He didn't look particularly great. He didn't look like the Kamaru Usman of even last year. You know what I mean? I got Islam, but this is actually closer than what people probably think. I think a lot of people think that Islam right now is going to destroy Kamaru Usman. I don't think he's going to destroy Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman only got taken down once in his entire career. Only once. Think about it for a second. He's only got taken down once. And that's by a guy who was a lot bigger than him. Islam Makhachev is not any bigger than Kamaru Usman. And Kamaru Usman is a big guy for the welterweight division. I mean, have you seen the fucking guy? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? I do believe that Islam wins currently, like, but prime versus prime, like, if we're talking about, like, 2019 Kamaru Usman or, like, 2020 Kamaru Usman, you know, or actually, you know what, I'm going to say, I believe it was the year 2021 when he was on a dominant reign. 2021 Kamaru Usman, definitely, I could see Kamaru Usman win against Islam Makhachev. Like, current Islam versus 2021 Kamaru Usman, that is a very good fight, a very interesting fight, to be quite honest with you. I think that fight is fantastic, and I do see Kamaru Usman winning that fight if that was to happen. But 2023 Kamaru Usman, I don't know. I don't see it. I think right now Islam beats Kamaru Usman. I think he gets a unanimous decision victory. I don't think he knocks him out. I don't think he submits him either. I just see I don't see a finish. I just see a unanimous decision victory, and I think that Islam Makhachev beats him. Now, we're going to get into the champion, which is probably going to be, if Islam goes up in weight, he will fight for the title. Let's just be honest. The UFC want to do that. That's a big-time fight. You know, Islam trying to become a double champ. They usually do that for the person who was the champ in the lower division. You know what I mean? They did that for TJ Dillashaw, where he went down in weight to 125. They gave him the title shot against Henry Cejudo. The same thing with Conor McGregor. Same thing with Daniel Cormier. They usually get a title shot. I mean, they did the same thing with Alexander Volkanovski just last year, or just this past, you know, in February. So, if the fight happens, this will be the first fight that Islam Makhachev has, honestly. If Leon Edwards beats Colby Covington, I think that Islam will get a title shot against Leon Edwards. This is a very, very close fight. Right now, I'm teetering Leon. I don't know. I think Leon, with the takedown defense, I can see him beat Islam Makhachev. I can see that happen. It's a very close fight. Islam Makhachev versus Leon Edwards is one of the closest fights. I can definitely see a split decision victory going either way. I don't know. It's a very tough and close fight. I think right now, I teeter Leon. I teeter Leon right now. I think Leon, with his striking defense is top tier. Obviously, I know he got caught by Nate Diaz, but that was at the end of the fight, and he kind of let his guard down a little bit just because it's Nate Diaz. Listen, I'm not counting out Islam Makhachev. I think that this fight can go his way for sure, but the takedown defense of Leon Edwards is fantastic. And let's say if that fight between him and Colby Covington happens and he's able to stuff all the takedowns for Colby Covington, because we just know that Colby Covington is going to shoot for the takedown consistently throughout that fight. And let's say he only gets taken down maybe once in that fight and he stuffs everything else. Bro, I think Leon Edwards beats Islam Makhachev. I think Islam Makhachev loses that fight currently. But I could be completely wrong. I don't think that Leon Edwards is going to get knocked out by Islam. I think it will be an insane moment if that does happen. But man, that's a very good fight. That is a fight that I'm actually excited for. And I'm hoping that's a fight that actually happens. If Islam Makhachev can get the job done against Charles Oliveira and Leon Edwards gets the job done against Colby Covington, fuck it. Book it. Book the fight. Who cares? That is a big-time fight. One of the biggest fights that you could possibly make. And you know what? I mean, I don't know how that will go down for UFC 300. That could be the main event there. I can definitely see that. But I don't know what with Islam. I know that he doesn't really fight during that time because of his religious beliefs and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just, the timelines, I don't know. Usually he fights during this time because obviously in Abu Dhabi he's a big draw. And usually he fought before, I forgot what it's called. I don't want to disrespect him in any type of way whatsoever, but I know he has he he does this thing around that time. I believe it's going to be happening in April, so maybe they don't do that fight. But you can do that fight later down the line, maybe in the summer. And I think a lot of people will be interested in that fight 100%. So right now, I'm teetering Leon, but I can definitely see Islam win. So in my opinion, Islam does pretty good in the welterweight division. I think he pretty much, his toughest fights are Shavkat and Leon Edwards, in my honest opinion. Followed probably by Colby, maybe. You know what I mean? Just depending on how Colby looks in this fight, in his next fight against Leon Edwards. Yeah, I mean, I think he does great. Listen, Islam Makhachev is a fantastic fighter, but he's going up, 15 pounds to a division where a lot of people are around his height or taller. So it's going to be very tough for him against a bunch of these guys. You know what I mean? It's going to be really tough. But that's pretty much it. That is the video right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you. I really hope you guys have a great day. I see you soon with another video. Peace out.